How's that? Call to order? Flag salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can't raise my fist.
Alright. Open Public Meetings Act statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Augusta, Branchville, Lafayette, and Sussex post offices, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald, Star Ledger, and the clerk of the boroughs of Branchville and Sussex and the townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Wantage. Mission statement. High Point Regional High School, in partnership with staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. Roll call.
Mrs. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Here.
Mr. Danner?
Here.
Mr. Dunn?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Nelson is not here. Mr. Rowland?
Here.
Mr. Veely?
Here.
Mr. Voight-Pugh?
Here.
Dr. Ripley?
Here. All right, executive session. A motion will be made. The High Point Regional High School Board of Education enter executive session to reconvene at the board office to provide an update on legal matters and negotiations which are exempt from public participation pursuant to New Jersey. Is that correct, or do we need to amend it?
Amend where we're opening. No, that's correct, sorry.
Pursuant to New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act, any discussions held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public when appropriate. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session in the cafeteria annex at the conclusion of the executive session. Correct. Action may be taken. Seeking a motion? Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right. I need a motion to return to public session. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, we're back in. Okay, we will now move on to public comments for agenda items only. If you have a comment, set the podium, state your name and address to the board. According to the Open Public Meetings Act, we will open the public comments for agenda items only. At this time, each speaker should state his or her name and address. You will have 3 minutes to address the board, which will be timed by myself. We will limit this section to no longer than 45 minutes. Please be respectful and mindful that your comments are being recorded. All right. Move on to the approval of minutes for the regular session meeting minutes of August 16, 2016, and the executive session minutes of August 16, 2016. Seeking a motion. Second. Any discussion?
Yes, I did. Jim, I don't know if you were, I haven't seen
I got
the update of the minutes. Was it fixed? Okay. 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 Good.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Rowland? Abstain. Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Danner? Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Voight-Pugh?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Veely?
Yeah. Okay, other business? I don't have anything to report. Does anybody else have anything? Presentation, student council, Anna. Speaker of the House will update us on the activities of student council.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Roney, and I'm the student representative coming to meetings this year. I'm a junior here at High Point, and I'm the executive student council speaker of the House. And I'm very excited to represent the students' voices and to be able to update you on student council happenings. Firstly, we're very excited for the 50th anniversary of High Point and all the events that are going to take place. The student council concessions will be selling pizza, candies, and drinks. Another thing that has been brought to our attention is block scheduling. We really appreciate how hard the staff has been working on the schedule to make sure it works. We like the extended time periods that the classes receive, and it produces a less rushed instructional time, which is very nice. And we also like the rotation of the blocks. We think that it's a nice change of pace. every day. However, the unit lunch isn't ideal for every student because sometimes you lab out at lunch either once or twice a week, and it gives students who lab out much less time to eat lunch, do homework, attend club meetings, and get extra help from teachers. But there are more positives than negatives, I think, and that the students have been saying that they really enjoy the long amount of time that we have for lunch and the ability that we can eat in different locations rather than just in the cafeteria. We're also in the process of the freshman class student council electing everyone, and it will be done by next week. And lastly, in the past for homecoming football game, the student council classes usually go onto the field with banners that are themed and outfits that are themed. For like example, in the past we've done Disney or decades, but this year we're going to change it a little bit to show our school spirit. Each class will dress in a color, either red, black, white, or gray, and our goal is to have a really nice student section filled with our school colors. So thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Nice job.
HPA.
Then we have a Christine DiMatteo is here.
All right.
She will do some.
Good evening, I'm Christina DiMatteo. I am the treasurer of the High Point Education Association. I'm a math teacher here at High Point for 13 years. We've had a very busy start to this school year. High Point Education Association, HPA, has been extremely proud of our students and staff for a pleasant transition to the block schedule, which is one of the biggest changes instituted in High Point history. Many changes have been going on this year with moving our grading system from Power School to Genesis. Our teachers are adapting to new ways of recording grades, reading IEPs, taking attendance, and completing daily tasks. Considering all of the changes, this year is off to an amazing start. Kevin Fenlon, Dave Rupert, and Brian Emma attended Gettysburg High School Boys Soccer Camp with the varsity squad, which was undefeated. Julie Clausen and Heather Gonzalez attended AP capstone training in Philadelphia over the summer. Kate Namara went to South Africa for a month over the summer and worked with conservationists to collect information on endangered species. Jackie Sutton, a social studies teacher, attended a lecture at Drew University given by Dr. Gregory Stanton. He's a world-renowned scholar and the founder of the Genocide Watch. He conceptualized the idea of the 10 steps of genocide. Jackie has served on the Board of Associates of Drew's Center for Holocaust and Genocide Study for many years. Jill Schaefer, our service learning coordinator, had 9 students volunteer for Sussex County Day last weekend. High Point received a thank you from the Sussex County Chamber of Commerce, commending our students for an amazing job and an excellent display of deportment through community service. The marching band group placed 3rd overall and 2nd in music in Division 2A in their first competition this year. The last thing I have, the MCI class, which is our incredibly cognitively impaired students, sent a $1,200 donation to K9 for Warriors at the end of the school year in June. This is the 2nd year in a row that we have donated $1,200 to this cause. K9s for Warriors is a nonprofit organization that rescues dogs, trains them to be service dogs, trains veterans on how to work with the service dogs, and then gives them to veterans that are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder or any other trauma. Every year, this class participates in Make a Difference Day, a national day of doing good deeds. The donations are the result of a year of fundraising. We are so very proud of our students and continue to encourage them to make a difference each and every day. Last but not least, the HPA has obtained a Pride grant to sponsor High Point Regional High School's 50th anniversary celebration. The National Art Honor Society students have been working on a 21-foot mural to be displayed in the main hallway for this event. Please join us on Saturday, October 1st from 10 to 4 to join us in celebrating 50 years of this wonderful school. Thank you so much for your time and have a great night.
Thanks, Christina. I also want to say that Christina's been coming to all of our meetings on this 50th, as has Shannon and John. It's been an amazing group of people working very hard and coming up with such great ideas and activities, and the fact that they went through the trouble to find that money, it's like almost $4,000 that they're getting to find money to put towards this. It's just it's so much fun to be working with the staff, they're just dedicated.
And all of the work that everybody's done, everybody's come together, and they've really been putting in everything they can to just add the here and there to make it's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah, and it's from the heart. This is something that people are doing because they want to be involved, because they want this to be a successful event. So thank you.
Come for your free hot dog.
Yeah, free hot dogs. Oh, you forgot to say that. HPDA is shelling out free hot dogs. So.
Yes, there you go.
Is it one dog or is it plural?
If you can sneak in with a different costume on, you can get as many hot dogs as you want.
Yeah. Thank you, guys, have a good night.
Thank you. All right, principal's report. Tell me what update is on high school activities and the movements.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? I wanted to say to, both left with everybody, they're trying to get to, but Anna, we're in good hands. She's going to be excellent. I'm hoping maybe I can actually put my report ahead of hers. And follow every night. And Christina, thank you for filling in as well. A couple things to talk about. The 50th celebration. We've been talking about, it's been great. It's been a long planning committee that we've been working on since last year, and a lot of people just kind of rolling their sleeves up and getting involved. It's been great to see. So we're excited about that. It's going to be a great day. The weather looks great already. We called ahead for some weather on that, so hopefully we get a good stretch for that for a beautiful day here on the campus. The opening of school, as you heard both Christina and Hannah talk about, was tremendous. I'm spending the month of September visiting every classroom just to pop in and talk to the students and say hello to the teachers and say thank you for, in my opinion, the best opening that we've had in a very long time. We've gone through schedule changes, everybody knows, for the first time in decades. I think it was 1992 maybe when we went from an 8th period to 9th period day, and that doesn't even magnify the type of schedule change that we're currently going through in terms of pedagogy, curriculum, and things that are involved in that. So it absolutely has been a team effort. I want to thank our administrative team. I want to thank the maintenance staff, the custodial staff, the secretarial staff, and the SSTF, which is part of the core of the change over the last several years. It's not just been something that's a 1 or 2 month planning event. This is 2.5 years at this point of planning and getting ready. So there's so many things that the maintenance crew, custodial crew, secretarial staff worked on behind the scenes that may never get noticed, but if they weren't done, they would be noticed. So we want to make sure that we thank them. If we get a chance to make sure that you thank them as well. As you saw walking around the campus, I think this evening you had a little bit of a tour and saw some of the updated areas. Hopefully you got a chance to see our updated greenhouse, which was completely renovated by our building and grounds crew. Again, kudos to the tremendous job led by Michael and Jeff, Hober, and Hobie, and Tyler, and a lot of other helpers in between. We are blessed to have workers available to do that type of work here in-house. It was designed by Levi Brunel, Alex Malabat, and Alex Blundetto last year. Conceptual design, and they're looking for projects through Mr. Kapler's architecture class. And Mr. Kapler's always great because he comes and says, hey John, what do you got going on? What's on the horizon? What's practical that my kids can work on? And I said, I'd really like to renovate this greenhouse and get it up and running to what it could be. What do you think if we let them have a shot at the design? And they're very proud of laminate their design and fit that up in the greenhouse because they're now seniors, so they're all pretty proud about that and said that that's part of that. The media center, hopefully you walk through that as well. And that is now pretty much in its final stage with some new carpeting, a new collaboration area up top. That again was designed by architecture students that came 3 years ago. And again, they said, Mr. Center, for some projects like this, let's go take a walk to the media center. And I'll give you some ideas of what I like to see it look like from Mrs. Finley. And have at it for the design. They did an awesome job. And our construction manufacturing classes from Mr. Gonzalez worked on the upper area and designed and built our called our Wildcat Cafe now, completely on their own. So that's a pretty cool thing for them to work on. We got some great pictures last year with them, being pretty proud and realizing how hard it was to design it and make it work and get it to fit and get it to actually come together. One thing to put on paper, another thing to actually put it together. They did a tremendous job with that. So kudos to them. We also have had many areas updated with the block lunch, so you got a chance to see those for our unit lunch. But also they're going to be dual purpose for our community events, and that was the intent behind a lot of that design. The design area that you saw over in the East Gym by the Guidance Area Auditorium. We've already used it for our 9th grade parent night. That was great because they had a chance to sit down, a place to sit down, a place to hang out, and have refreshments. That's the idea behind that concept, and our seniors actually love that area, for that inside area. Recently, we had our senior application night led by the guidance department. That was very successful. We had about 80 plus in attendance there, led by Ms. Donovan and all the guidance counselors. You probably saw some tweets out about that. We also live streamed the event, which is great because we had about 80 plus that watched it at home that couldn't make it that night or watched it later. And it's also archived, so parents can go back to it as many times as they need to look at those resources for senior applications. That's an important thing on everybody's mind. We had our ninth grade parent night Thursday on the 15th. That was very well received, a lot of positive feedback. Some of you, I saw you there as parents. We had a very engaged group of parents, which is excellent and awesome to see and to feel. We have a great ninth grade class, and looking forward to our journey together for the next 4 years. It's very exciting, and I know it's also nerve-wracking for us parents. But they're in good hands, and we've got great things planned for them. Back to school night is next week on the 29th at 7 p.m. We had to change that schedule a little bit because, as you used to remember the old schedule, you used to go to their lunch, right? And the lunch, you come here in the cafeteria, you go, now with you at lunch, no longer that lunch period. So we changed that a little. We're going to do a refreshment time in the beginning before the actual back to school night kicks off, about 25-30 minutes. So they get a chance to walk the campus and see the areas of the unit lunch. We're going to be playing some video of our actual unit lunch so parents can see their own kids in action. There's one thing to say, oh yeah, this is where we eat. Another thing to see the kids actually in action. And then we'll go through the schedule and they'll be able to still have refreshments throughout the day. So throughout the next week, we changed that a little bit. Excited for a good turnout for that. We also have already coming up our senior dinner cruise, which is one of my favorite nights of the entire year, because it's really a team building, class building activity that actually Margie Havens and Kirsten Sabo changed several years ago. Now they're coming back full circle, so this is they're now senior advisors again, and they're going on their second trip in the fall. It used to be done in the spring, but it really is nice to have it in the fall. It really kind of brings the class together. As of today, was the final deadline, about 170 seniors sign up and ready to go. So it's a great amount, plus all the chaperones and everybody else is going to be going. So it's going to be a good night. Also, again, over the weather for that looks good on the 11th. And last but not least, we have the academic awards coming up on the 18th. For the board meeting, I know we have the meeting beforehand. That's at 6 o'clock, and that's going to be in the auditorium. That's the night where we recognize all of the recipients for honor roll and academic achievements. And it's important for them to be recognized, and we always do that in the fall on that October night. So it's going to be exciting, and we'll work on sending out the invitations for that as well. If Mr. Billy is okay, I can go right into the athletic report real quick. Just an update on some records as we're just rolling into the beginning of the fall. I'm excited to note that football is playing Friday night at Mount Olive, so that the football players are getting ready for that this week. Our field hockey is 3-1-1. Maybe you notice the theme in this comment. It's tied for first place in Freedom Division. Boys soccer 4-0. First place in Freedom Division. Girls soccer 4-0. First place in Freedom Division. Girls tennis 2-3. HWS begins tomorrow. Girls cross country 2-0. Tied for first place Freedom Division. Boys cross country 2-0. Tied for first place in Freedom Division. So that's an awesome start. The kids are, we've all been out there for athletic events. We had a game last night that was just tremendous. A little nerve-wracking for the girls soccer game, but it was tremendous. The boys won 1-0. Both scored. I'm saying both scored. So that was nice to see, and really a great game. So very excited about the start that we have. Kudos to Mr. Norton and all the coaches for what they do every single day, preparing our kids to be an extension of the classroom on athletic fields. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thanks for being here, everyone. As a smart resident, I was sharing with some people that my phone was popping last night. That people were suggesting that they were only supposed to lose the high point in wrestling. So to sweep them in soccer, a sport that they think they're pretty good at, is pretty impressive. So, our future looks bright. Our first speaker tonight was unbelievable. What a boy he's young lady is. And a compliment to my colleague, Mr. Calloway. We are always, all of us, getting slammed with email constantly all day long, and it's easy to sit at your desk, but every time I come through the building, Mr. Calloway's out in the hallway and engaged with staff and students. The opening of school, teachers came in and we had a 2-day in-service, and it was a packed, intensive 2 days. More so than normal. Typically you kind of maybe want a little bit of perhaps camaraderie or team building, but we had some major initiatives that we had to introduce.
The 2 days were a little bit better than the picture. It didn't come out quite as good as we would have hoped. But we decided that we had 3 major initiatives. We were going to block scheduling. We were also going to a new digital gradebook system, Genesis. And we were going to have every single teacher film themselves this year. Last year we had 21. So those 3 things, we decided that the first thing we have to do in this room right here, stand in front of the staff and say, I hope you had a great summer. We have 3 enormous changes, here they are. As a result, it was a pretty intense 2 days, but we did clearly communicate what our plans were, and it was an excellent opening of the school year. As I mentioned, every teacher will film themselves, and we're very excited to see that happen. Non-tenured teachers, it won't count towards their score, but they'll still have to film themselves, review the video of themselves teaching with a fellow teacher, score it as they talk to that teacher, and then consult with the supervisor about what they saw that was strong or what needed improvement. Genesis, this was a handful opening day. We all live in a world where the portals that we interface with change constantly, and when you have to make that adjustment, it just takes time. So the staff has been incredible. I was explaining to the curriculum committee that seemed to be a concern opening day. So the next day we set up a 3-hour block where they could drop in, and the following week an hour-long drop every day. And the staff seems to be just gradually getting it. And of course the block. Now we researched this for 2 years. We went all over North Jersey looking at best practices. We surveyed the staff. It was incredibly well thought out. However, when you're a staff member and you're home for July and August, I think part of you forgets what the plan is. So we came in opening day and we really spelled it out and explained to them what each component of the day would look like. And I sent out a survey, and it was anonymous, and it was open to comments. And the survey response was excellent. 82% of staff responded. Now, the reason we can't make it 100% is because we want it to be anonymous. So I don't know the 18% that didn't respond, but 82 on an anonymous survey is a great response. And overwhelmingly, they said it was good. So it was very good. But they also had very constructive bits of criticism, and criticism that we'll take into account for our next in-service. It was a lot of information, but we felt it was a unique opening of the school, and we had to come right at them and deliver that information. So it was a great opening. Professional development. We're required by state regulations to have a PDP, a professional development plan. The last couple of years, we've had basically consistent PDP plans for all the teachers. They haven't been individualized. So this year, all teachers will have 4 goals. 2 of them will be consistent for every teacher, to work on the filming process and reflecting on teaching, to adjust to the block schedule. But then each department will meet and come up with a department goal, an area that they want to focus on with their colleagues. Then each teacher will meet with their supervisor and come up simply with one area to improve upon. So throughout the year, your supervisor can say, well, how are you making out with increasing formative assessment? How are you making out with collaborating with your other teachers? So the professional development for each teacher is going to be more personalized this year than it has been in the past. Our October 10th in-service. I'm encouraging as many teachers as would like to go to Frankfort Township School. We've been hosting people on our in-service days. They have an excellent menu of trainings that day, and we're trying to build our relationship with teacher to teacher in our setting district. Some teachers heard about the success that our Algebra 1 teachers had, and they said, well, I would like to go to Frankfurt and develop the same type of relationship with their art teachers. So we're excited to have, hopefully, 10 or 20 of our teachers go down the road to Frankfurt and build relationships and partake in their PD. The rest of the day will primarily be focused on those same new initiatives. Allow the staff to take a little bit of a deep breath and to work on PDPs, SGOs. OASIS is the new platform they'll use for teacher observations. There's a lot of new, and they need that October day to slow down and say, here are your expectations for the day, okay? Let's sit down with your supervisor for the day and work on some of the things that you're struggling with.
James, how is that always different from what we used to do?
It's almost the exact same thing, but again, it's a new platform. So your logging is new. and where you complete the forms. So,
Still Danielson based and all that.
oh, it's exactly the same, it's just,
Okay, yeah.
so, it's not, on the administrator side, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. On the teacher side, it's not that different.
Okay.
Our assessment schedule is on the agenda this evening. The two I want to mention briefly are the PSAT and the PARC. PSAT will be offered here October 19th for the third consecutive year. The Board of Education is paying for all of our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students to take the practice SAT. One unique change this year, our freshmen will take a version of the PSAT known as the 8-9 PSAT, because research informs us that to give a student an amount of material that they're simply not familiar with is counterproductive. So we want our freshmen to take a test very similar to the SAT, but it's geared more to Algebra 1, what they're familiar with, not geometry, what they haven't studied yet. Now, the graduation requirements have changed a little bit, and just briefly, our current seniors, juniors, and sophomores, they need to show proficiency on an assessment. And I showed this assessment menu before. It's the SAT, the ACT, ASVAB, AccuPlay. So there's about 8 different tests they can show their proficiency. If they don't do that, they can complete a portfolio. And last year we had 16 students complete the portfolio. No students were unable to graduate because they did not reach this requirement. But it changes a little bit. 2020 is our freshman class. So what they will be required to do to graduate is to take all of the PARC assessments. Their performance on them is not yet a graduation requirement, but the PARC is building and doubling down or committing to being here for the long term. So if you are in a course, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, or English 9, 10, and 11, you must take the end of year PARC. It's mandatory graduating, and that's for our freshmen. Our 8th graders have to pass the PARC. So current 8th graders will be required to pass Algebra 1 and their sophomore year English PARC. However, the portfolio option will remain. So they will not have the opportunity to say, well, I did well on the SAT, therefore I'm good. They'll have to take all of the PARC assessments, and they'll have to pass those too. However, there will be an appeals process for a small number of students who are unable to achieve that score. Any questions on assessments? It's not new, but PARC's becoming more of a staple in our school year process. And of course, where do we get these? We have a phenomenal social media program. When you're here on back to school night or on 9th grade parent night, by the time the night's over, you might have 10 or 15 tweets with pictures of what's happening. As Mr. Talay mentioned, our live stream is really becoming a widely used tool to allow parents and community members to see what happens at our school. This afternoon, Mark Wallace set up a training for 7 teachers on a new platform called Nearpod. I was blown away by what it did. It basically took Google Classroom and these digital gamification, formative assessment things, Kahoot and Socrative, and it melded them all together with PowerPoint. And it kind of supports the concept of a flipped classroom, where you can really give students an awful lot of work to do at home, assess how they did, and help direct what you do in class the next day. So it's complicated, but that is what a teacher could look at when they're in class and they simply write on their tablet one math problem. And the students do that one math problem, they can see 25 students live on their tablet answering the math questions. So you gotta move slow because we don't want to overwhelm people with technology, but we have 7 teachers that are piloting this Nearpod program, and we're just gonna allow it to grow organically and see if it becomes a popular tool. We have a faculty highlight and a biography each month. These 3 teachers I mentioned last month, I believe, they went to Raritan Community College over the summer. Ann Yacarino on the left, Rebecca Sarno in the middle, and Alex Gonzalez on the right. That's tech, biology, and math, all working together on a common curriculum that the state is asking them to pilot. Our teacher biography of the month is Mrs. Josephine Ayala. Her biography will be up later this week. She is an incredibly passionate teacher, and we're happy to profile her. One of the nice things about opening day is that we had 20 teachers learn our new grade book, Genesis, and then they led the trainings. So it was teachers teaching teachers, and that was a nice thing to see. There it is, the first ever unit lunch. That is the West Gym. And it is unbelievable. You go up to get lunch, and as a teacher, you have access to food faster than you did during the regular lunch. So there's just a very healthy vibe around the building. Students seem very comfortable and at ease, going to their locker, getting something to eat, going to see a friend, walking over here. It's not rambunctious, it's not chaotic. It just seems healthy, it seems relaxed, it seems good. There was a wonderful article in the Advertiser that gave us some very positive press about the block schedule. This evening on the one of the action items is our curricular field trips. And on behalf of the staff, I want to thank the board for your support. We believe that these experiences outside of the building are essential and influential. As Mr. Baker, somewhere in the river, catching frogs or checking algae, I don't know, but we have phenomenal trips, and thank you for your support of that. Ninth grade back to school night, it's great that we have students singing and serenading and welcoming. So as you walked into the building last week, the first thing you were met by was the sound of young cherubs singing beautiful songs. And last but not least, our marching band, led by James Aslanian. I just saw him in the hall and I asked him something about how many students do you have? He said 56. That's great. He said, yeah, well, when I started 4 years ago, we were 22. So he's nearly triple participation in our band, and that's just a wonderful thing. So that's a little update on the curriculum. Questions?
I just want to say, because I always want to say, I have to express how proud I am of you guys, you for taking on so many major things to do for school. John and your staff in the main office, you guys have worked miracles. And your staff, this is the important part in my book, your staff feels so supported by what you're doing. That rather than having to come in and have all this change shoved down their throat, they feel supported that this is going to be good, we'll help you through it, what are your problems, come see us. There have been some changes made because you've gotten information and you make those adjustments, and they just are happy to be here with you guys working together. And the kids seem to be in love with school. So it's all about this big job that you guys are doing, and I thank you for it.
Thank you.
Action items. Curriculum instructions.
Okay, we have 4. We're going to move items 1 through 4 in curriculum instruction. Item 1 is about the professional development activities listed on attachment A1. Item 2 are the field trips listed on attachments A2A and A2B. Item 3 is to approve EduSeer Online as their home instruction for the 2016-17 school year. And item 4 is to approve Article 16 Annual Review and Revisions of the Uniform State Memorandum and Agreement between Education and Law Enforcement Officials, which is a police thing. Moving items 1 through 4.
Second, 1 through 4.
Any questions, discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Banner.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Boyke.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Bealey.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to personnel. Seeking a motion to move section B with items listed on the regular agenda as well as 3 additional items on the addendum numbering 10, 11, 12. Number 1, being determined the HPA agreement with the following individuals having provided the appropriate verification for advancement on 16-17 16-17 salary guide and a contract revision to be issued. Number 2, resolve that the Board of Education approve the merit goals listed on attachment B1 for the 16-17 school year as stipulated in the employment contract between the Board of Ed and Dr. Ripley. Number 3, recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Ed approve co-op students listed below at the rate of $8.38, not to exceed 15 hours. Number 4, recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Ed approve the following appointments which will be funded through the ESSA Title I funds as noted. Number 5, recommended by the superintendent that we approve the 6-period assignments listed below to fill maternity and child care leave. The approximate periods of leave will be September 19th through December 12th of 2016. Number 6, being recommended by the superintendent that we approve and amend the resolution of August 16, 2016, item D6 regarding 6-period assignments for the 16-17 school year to reflect 1/3 of the 6-period teaching assignment for the individuals listed below during those periods listed. Number 7, recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education approve the following mentor for provisional teacher listed and authorizes the deduction of payments for those fees. Number 8, recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education approve the following substitutes for the school year. There will be a change on number 8. We will be removing Tina Thomas listed as school nurse from this list, so we will amend that. And in addition of Michael Imparato for custodial and maintenance. List, which we will put on paperwork. Number 9, recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education approve the following substitute pay rates for the 16-17 school year. Number 10, recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education approve the maternity child care disability leave of absence as outlined in the EA agreement in accordance with the Federal Family Leave Act. That will be effective on or about January 3rd, 2017, will continue through the end of the school year. Number 11, recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education approve the appointment of Kirsten Essery as a part-time lunch aide between the hours of 10:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m., 5 days a week. As noted. Number 12, superintendent of the Board of Education approve the appointment of Kirsten Essery also as a substitute teacher pending receipt of all required paperwork, including criminal history review and substitute certification. Seeking a motion.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these items?
I had a question, let's look back to it. Number 6, about the 6-period assignments, changing from 1/5 to 1/3. Is that because of block scheduling? Is that?
Yes,
blocks?
the exploratory MCI course is covered 3 of the 4 days, rather than what had previously been the construct 1/5 of the 6th, meaning it means 1 period each day. But it's 3 teachers teaching 3 out of 3 periods, 1 period that means 3 of the 4 days. So so they're through the entire year. So they can get a 1/3 of a 6th period stipend rather than a 1/5 of the 6th period assignment.
Okay.
So that error was made last month, and I needed to rectify that.
On number 2, just let me note that Mr. Nelson had sent an email to the board for you all to see regarding the merit goals. Since he's not here, I'll just, we're all going to say, he said that, he had concerns about the attainability of these goals, that they might be too easy, and that we should open this up for discussion in a special meeting, if you will, for the public. I addressed that concern back in August 11th in an email, saying that to do so really doesn't fit the construct with Board of Education to run. We take public comments prior to a vote. The discussion is reserved for the Board of Education. So, just addressing those concerns on number 2. Anybody have anything else? All right, roll call.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Boykin.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Veely.
Yes. Okay, extracurricular. Seeking a motion for the extracurricular item on the regular agenda and also an addenda item. So we have total of 1 and 2 being on the, of course, the addendum. Number one, being recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education, grant permission to High Point groups listed below to run the following fundraisers. Marching band will be doing theirs through custom fundraising solutions in November. The student council to run a local vendors fair in December. And number two, recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education, approve the following vendors for the fall production of Noises Off as listed. So moved.
Second?
Any discussion on item one or two? Roll call.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Woodkill?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Danner?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes. Okay, policy. There are no policies or regs before us at this time. We're negotiations. We have number one, recommended that the Board of Education approve a sidebar agreement with the 1618 Board of Education and High Point Education Association agreement regarding block scheduling as documented in E1. So moved. Any discussion on negotiations? All right, roll call.
Mr. Woodkill?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Danner?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes. All right, building and grant. We don't have any before us. We'll move on. But I know you're gonna, yes, go ahead, Mrs. Anderson.
How much fun do we have on the building tour?
It was wonderful.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is beautiful.
We saw amazing things on our building tour. As usual, the maintenance and custodial of buildings and grounds has spiffed up the joint amazingly, especially considering a lot of it's 50 years old. And the unit lunch things that they had to put in place, so that everybody had a place to sit down and eat and get their food quickly. It's astounding how beautiful it is. And I know they've already talked about it, but I wanted to add it to buildings and grounds.
Yeah, I'm impressed that they get it done so quickly, so I don't know. Good job, guys. Finance, Mr. Rowland.
All right, finance, I'd like to move items 1 through 11. Item 1 is the report of the board secretary, business administrator, attachment G1 for August 2016. Item 2 is the report of the treasurer, August 2016, attachment G2. Item 3 is the report of transfers, August 2016, attachment G3A, G3B. Item 4, the board approves the payment of the attached bills and attachment G4A and G4B for September 20, 2016. Item 5, it is recommended the board accepts the accounts as listed in attachment G5. Item 6 through 8 are all tuition contracts. And item 9 is for a soccer clinic. It will be January 8th to April 9th, 2017. Item 10, it's recommended that the board grant permission to the High Point Adult Community Education, those affiliated with the Adult Soccer League, November 17, 2016 through April 9, 2017, as listed. And item 11 is for, it's recommended that the board grant permission to the High Point Adult Community Education to host the affiliated adult co-ed basketball league, which will run from September 18th through November 20th, 2016. Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion on those items?
It looks like the soccer league and the basketball league conflict on the one date. November 20th. Different facilities or?
Might be different gyms.
Oh, imagine I'll work that out.
That's very interesting.
Sure. The soccer league looks like it's starting earlier now. Are you doing a different session?
No, the times are 4:30 to 9:30, and the other one's 12:30 to 4:30.
6 to
No,
9.
6 to 9.
6 to 9.
What,
Yeah.
what item number?
10 to 11.
I think we should start talking about the month.
Guess you're gonna have to double check that and see if
Work it
it's,
out. They're all.
they'll figure
They're
it
both
out.
on those.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Ankliff?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Boyku?
Yes.
Mr. Dilly?
Yes. All right, transportation, Mr. Miller.
Okay, I'd like to move items number 1 through 8. Item number 1 is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves to revise the multi-contract number on the following contracts to MCHT 48 and MCHP 48, which was previously approved as on 8/26/16. Item number 2 is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following joint transportation agreements for the 2016-17 school year as listed. Number 3, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following renewal contract for the 2016-17 school year as listed. Item number 4, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following addendum to a contract for a special education route for the 2016-17 school year as listed. Item number 5, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following quoted contracts for trips for the 2016-17 school year as listed. Item number 6, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following quoted contracts for transportation of special needs students for the 2016-17 school year as listed. Item number 7, the High Point Regional High School District bus drivers will be attending the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness Situational Awareness Training for School Bus Drivers, hosted by the Susquehanna Regional School Transportation Department and held at High Point Regional High School on October 10th, 2016 at no cost to the district. And lastly, item number 8, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following quoted contract for a trip for the 2016-17 school year.
Second, 1 through 8.
Any discussion on those items?
I just have to disclaim that I'm not related or hold any interest in Ted Dunn Incorporated.
Roll call.
Mr. Ankliff?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Boyku?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Dilly?
Yes. Okay, legal, we have no legal items before us now. Correspondence, Kyle O'Connell, the recipient of the Board of Education Scholarship, has expressed its appreciation to the members of the board in attachment 8-1.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Miscellaneous, Mrs. Andrews.
Well, I like it, I don't even really have to discuss it too much, and we don't have a gigantic, public contingent today, but it's what's on our poster.
They're all right there.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you tonight. We have this great poster about our 50th anniversary celebration, October 1st, which is a Saturday, starting up here, alumni games in the morning, open house tours and artifacts and archives and fun games and tons of pictures and things to look at. The students that are student ambassadors will be giving the tours. There will be oral histories done in the media center by our public speaking class, and it's just going to be a phenomenal event. My hope, my original hope for this is that people get to come back to this building. If they haven't been here in 50 years, if they graduated in 1967, they get to come back to this building and see what great things have gone on since they left. And if you were here last year or you're still going here this year, you get to walk through the building and see something that you might not have known about because there's a lot of history. We're going to be showcasing different areas of the school, our technology department, science departments. We just got so many great things going on, and we should be very proud of ourselves for opening our doors 50 years ago this September. And hopefully, and a football game and free hot dogs. Don't forget that. So, and at 6 p.m., the Educational Foundation is hosting a dinner dance over at the Lafayette House. Dinner and dancing and camaraderie. So you need to get in touch with the High Point Educational Foundation. Website information is available on our website. Get tickets for that.
And I'd just like to say that, the Education Foundation, they do a great job of raising money for the school district and whatnot. So if anybody has bought tickets and you're able, make sure you call them and attend. And for
Or
those-
else.
Right. Or for those who are watching at home, come on out.
Come on Thanks for coming.
Yes. Non-committee board member reports and comments, and I'd like to say something here, especially since our security, IT, and health committee does not have agenda items per se, that I would just like to commend the staff and the administration, especially at High Point, for the way they handled our incident the other day. The response time by the New Jersey State Police was phenomenal. It was always a concern of ours, but when we needed them, they were there in several minutes. Dr. Ripley was in constant communication with me during the incident and gave me regular updates, and a job well done to everyone involved.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other non-committee board member reports?
Well done.
Anybody else? All right, other business? Anybody have any other business? No, we're getting closer. All right, so we're going to adjourn here, so I'm going to seek a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
I know, that's true.